Welcome to Big Blend Radio Success Express Show, where we talk about business, leadership, and career development. Welcome, everybody. Today, we're super excited to welcome back Rita Sever. Rita is, she is an author. She's got 2 books. We first met her with her book, Supervision Matters, 100 Bite-Sized Ideas to Transform You and Your Team. And her second book is out now, Leading for Justice, Supervision, HR, and Culture. She's one of our regular experts here on Big Blend Radio. She's an organizational trainer, and like I said, an author, and you can keep up with her at supervisionmatters.com. So welcome back, Rita. How are you?
Thank you, Lisa. It's great to be here, and I'm doing well. Thank you.
Good to have you back. And the topic today, we're going to be talking about gratitude, right? And acknowledging people, appreciation in the workplace. I mean, Thanksgiving season, we always think about gratitude and thankfulness, but having appreciation in the workplace, and I know you work mostly with nonprofits, that's it's important on the volunteer side. It's important for the employees, right? But it shouldn't just be around Thanksgiving, right?
Exactly. It's a key component. I work mostly with supervisors, and my focus is always on making supervisors more user-friendly, as I call it. And I think being authentic and showing appreciation for what people do and respect for who they are, those are the bases of building healthy relationships, which then lead to good work outcomes. And
Okay.
yes, it can't just be a once a year turkey or something, literally. It's got to be an ongoing part of the work that you do together.
What about the authenticity of it? Because sometimes people just, thank you, or, but it's kind of like, I have to do this, you know?
Yes. And I think it's important to recognize that those aren't mutually exclusive, that you have to tuck your kids in to bed at night, but it doesn't mean you don't love them when you do it.
Okay.
So I think that, even like scheduling appreciation doesn't mean it isn't art, that it is artificial. Whether it's authentic or not is whether you mean it. And if you can sincerely step back a moment and say, yes, I do appreciate what they do, and that we couldn't do our work together if each person didn't do their part, that's what makes it authentic. And so I think it's great if it's spontaneous. That's wonderful. It is important that it's specific. That's part of what makes it authentic.
Okay.
Not just a routine, hey, you're doing a good job. I said it today, I'm done. It's what did you see them do? How did that impact the work? And making it specific.
Okay. So like if someone reaches a goal, like a fundraising goal, for example, you want to say, well done on reaching XYZ.
Yes, that's important. But even more is like, let's say that's the example that they put on an event, let's say. So at the end of the event, most supervisors are going to be hopefully aware enough to say, hey, good job with the event. But feel the difference between, hey, good job on the event, and hey, Lisa, that event was amazing. The decorations were beautiful. I saw you interacting with people in a very authentic way, and every person looked like they were having a good job. Thanks for putting it all together.
Okay. You're welcome.
Yeah, it feels very different, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's like someone is watching, which also means that someone is supervising. So for the supervisor, the leader, the management, it's letting people know that you're actually connected with what's happening. And so
Exactly. And
so
that
it's
you
it's
see,
acknowledgement for good
right,
and bad, right? If somebody didn't do something, that you're also there to acknowledge that.
right. But too often it goes the other way, that people only hear from their supervisors when they mess up. And so what I recommend is that supervisors have regular meetings with their staff once a week, every other week, at least once a month. And the 3 components of that meeting that I recommend are what's working, what's not working, and what's next, meaning what are the priorities until we meet again. But that is a way to normalize giving and receiving feedback, because they're two-way conversations, not just the boss telling the staff member. And it includes both, again, the positive and the challenges, which is
Mm.
important.
I noticed you say positive and challenges instead of negatives, challenges. It's a
Right,
nicer word, and it's true.
right,
Challenges are, I think we also have to retrain our brains a bit because our human brains are always going to the negative before the
right,
positive. So we have to
exactly.
change our brains because we're not in fight or flight anymore, right? So, well, sometimes we are, but
Right.
there are times for that. But
Yes,
this is not one of them. So retrain the brain a bit, and if it can come from a management level too, and that can kind of breed positivity in a workplace.
exactly. It can. And the way I like to frame it for supervisors is that whether it is positive or challenging, the outcome you're going for is success
Mm,
in either kind of feedback. Whatever you're telling people, it is you're telling them so that they can be more successful in their work. And when supervisors can frame it that way, they start to internalize that it's not about the person, it's about the work, and it's about being successful together. So it is retraining your brain.
very cool. I would train the brain. Yep, and work on it together. I like that.
Right.
So, what about acknowledgement? Is a lot of times, should that always be private, or does it go according to the situation?
It definitely goes according to the situation, and I think it also goes according to who the person is. I think each supervisor, each boss should have a conversation with their staff member about how do you like to be recognized?
Mm,
Because some people love the public recognition and the standing ovation, and other people would die if that happened. So
okay.
really having a conversation about I want to show my appreciation throughout the year. Tell me a little bit about what works for you and what doesn't work for you,
Mm.
so that it can really be specific for each staff person.
And that lets people know that someone's acknowledging you right away. That's
Right.
an immediate acknowledgement.
Yeah.
What about when it comes to volunteers and even donors? Doesn't that also kind of there's you know it's like a previous insurance person. We just get these same printed out cards that are like we're not even with them anymore because it's so cold.
Mhm.
It's not thoughtful. Like you could handwrite the card once in a while. I'm just saying.
Absolutely.
So you get these things that come from the corporate office that is just, oh, we need to do this for our clients or prospective clients. And it just feels so tasteless.
Right. Right. It's almost worse than not doing it because it
I
does
think so.
feel artificial and forced.
Hmm.
And certainly a volunteer is there because they want to do the work. But they also wanna we all have a need to be seen, and when you
Yeah.
can connect with your volunteers and show them your appreciation, they will not only feel better, but they'll do more, do better, and so will staff. Everybody wants to know that their work makes a difference. I
Yeah.
recently read that that's the difference between when people feel overwhelmed with tasks, especially at work, and when they start feeling burnout. It flips into burnout when they feel like their work doesn't make any difference and nobody appreciates it, nobody sees it. That's when they start feeling burned out and they look for another job.
Mm.
But they can be doing, not that you want them to be doing too much, but they can be doing the same amount of work. And if it's appreciated and they know it's making a difference, then they feel better about it.
Yeah. I think that's with anyone. I mean, if you're really working hard and maybe putting some extra hours in, or you went, "Ooh, I'm going to do this extra thing," and no one sees it, no one cares, or and maybe somebody's even negative to you about something else,
Right.
then it starts to spiral. You know what I mean?
Exactly. It does. It starts building resentment, which really breaks
Oh,
down people's
that's
connection.
a cancer in a
It is.
organization.
Yeah,
Because I think with this appreciation and acknowledgments means that people are present. So this is kind of a way of keeping the team together and creating a positive work culture. Like, hey, we're all in here
absolutely.
together. We're going to do this. I already feel like yay, let's go. I don't even know what we're going to do, but let's go do it. You know?
Exactly. When organizations can build a culture of appreciation, then people feel better, just like you
Mm,
said, that, it feels like we're all in this together and we know each other, we appreciate the strengths we bring, and we back each other up, we help each other, and it leads to not only better feeling, but better retention and what I would call a sense of grace. That if
mm.
somebody messes up, you give them the benefit of the doubt. You don't immediately start going, they're out to get me, because you do have this culture of appreciation and their heart's in it. So maybe
And
you
people are
go,
human. Yeah.
yes. So you
People
go
are going to
talk to
make,
them.
I made a big mistake today already. I even made a mistake on our time zone here.
Uh-huh.
Because I've just, when I talk to people and set up recordings, I already feel like I'm there because, like, especially Zoom, I'm like, oh, I'm going to California today. Oh, I'm not in California today, because
Right.
we always travel. So sometimes I just forget where I am.
Sure.
But so
Yep.
I mess up, so, and if I say I messed up, it's out on my cards are on the table. I messed up. What are you going to do? Shoot
Yep.
me? That's the kind of thing where I think there's an appreciation when people are honest as
Yes.
well and have or know that they can say I messed up. Whereas
Right.
in some organizations, oh, well, this is going on your report and this, and now if you mess up on the same thing 10 times in a row, well, there's a problem, obviously.
Yes, exactly. But that, grace and benefit that, yeah, we're all human, it's
Hmm.
okay, Lisa, we'll move forward, the focus on moving
Thank you for
forward.
changing your time, but you didn't have to. But yeah, I think it also, when you look at we're in the world of reviews on social media, on Google, and all of these nonprofits included get reviewed by, donors, and people go to events. Maybe they didn't, what if they didn't have a good experience? They post those negative reviews that nobody wants a negative review, right?
Right,
It
right.
pulls down donors. I mean, especially a nonprofit, it is just anybody, any business.
Mhm.
And, I think there's something about if you have a good team, you don't have to really worry about those negative reviews as much. I mean, some people just do negative. I mean, they are just, you cannot please everybody. So I'm going beyond that.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to get something negative about them no matter what. It just is the way it is. But you don't, in management, if you have a good team and that culture of positivity and appreciation and acknowledgement, like you're talking about, doesn't that kind of help in regards to negative things coming, negative customer service? Because that even a nonprofit has that.
Right. I think it definitely helps to build resiliency with the team so that when something negative comes along, whether it's a bad review or a missed grant or
Ooh,
somebody did mess up something,
ooh.
that of course people are going to catch their breath. I think it is important to allow room to feel like, oh, that hurts. That's important too. But then they bounce back quicker and they say,
Mm.
okay, we hit this snag in the road, but let's pull together and face forward and do the work we're here to do.
Now, I know gift giving. I want to just touch on that briefly. And we want to talk a little bit, just, I think it helps everybody when you have all of this appreciation. But sometimes there's like, oh, we got to do bonuses or Secret Santa. And sometimes people can't do that. Like, how do you balance that in a nonprofit? Like, I know most nonprofits, they're spending their money on the things they need to do. But even the staff, expecting staff to give gifts and play Secret Santa or whatever, you never know if they need, it could just even be $10, but we don't know everybody's situation. So don't we kind of have to be careful in the workplace of those kinds of things?
Absolutely. And whether it's a financial issue or a cultural issue, maybe
Mhm.
they don't know or recognize Santa, don't want to know and recognize Santa. Um, but it should be a team decision, not somebody from up above saying this is what you're going to do. Maybe have a team meeting and talk about, let's brainstorm how we want to acknowledge Christmas or Hanukkah or
Kwanzaa?
Kwanzaa, whatever. Do we want to recognize them or do we want to celebrate winter? What do we want to do together? And let it come from the team so that there is buy-in. And that may not even necessarily be, majority rules. It might be everybody say what they think, and then let's see where we can go with this so that we
Mm,
can get to win-win.
Oh, okay. So that's where you're aiming for is win-win. Everyone's happy. Yeah, I like the
Everybody's
celebrating
good
winter.
with it. Yeah, they may not
Yeah,
be happy, but they'll go along with it.
yeah. Because you can't make everyone happy again. You have to go back to that.
Right.
Yeah. But I
Sometimes,
think even having a say in there is part of that, you know?
absolutely.
And doesn't it come like there's bonuses and things like that, but gift giving from the company itself or the nonprofit, that could be dangerous because you might not be able to do it the next year and people start thinking they're going to get it every year.
Yeah, although I think, I know from being in HR in a nonprofit, whenever we could do anything, we were so careful to say, this isn't a regular thing. You
Okay.
let people know. Like one year we were able to give way long time ago, we were able to give people the week off between Christmas and New Year's. And we were so excited to do that. And it was such a gift. And we were so clear about this probably won't happen again. We will if we can, but no
Mhm.
promises. And as it turned out, we were able to make that a normal part of the schedule. So I think it's,
Nice.
again, being able to just be honest with people. Maybe this year they do get a bonus, but it's not going to happen every year. And sometimes, again, I think the authentic, sincere note of appreciation is
Bigger.
almost if not as valuable as the same gift for everybody. That doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, it's like that
And
card I was telling you about. The here it
right,
is. It wasn't even it just was like they just took a mailer and mailed them out.
right,
It
right,
had no meaning. And I'm going, gosh, like we know each other.
mm,
It's rude. It's
right.
kind,
It
yeah,
is.
that's how it feels. And so we don't do insurance with them anymore.
Right.
It actually
Yeah.
turned to that level.
Right.
It's like, because the customer service was going at the same time. So that's kind of what I find very interesting is communication is everything. It
Right.
is. And I think that's really at the brunt of what you're talking about is having this open dialogue, which means that you're attentive on all
Exactly.
sides.
Yeah. And you recognize people as individuals and you invite their whole selves to work. And again, it's great if you can do holiday gifts. Um, if that's something that the team wants. But even more important is doing it throughout the year, like we
Hmm.
started off talking about that, people's anniversary, their work
Hmm.
anniversary is a great time to give them
Oh yeah.
flowers or balloons or whatever. It doesn't have to cost a lot, but it says, I'm glad you're here. And I
Yeah.
know you've been here for 5 years and what a difference you've made.
And cake is good all the time. Cake is allowed. Yeah,
Yep.
I love it when you have those big organizations and it's always someone's birthday. You're like, "Where's the cake?" And then someday it's like, "There's no birthday. Now what? We got to do
Right,
something. Where's
right.
the cake? I want
And
my cake."
again, you know, ask the person, what do you want? How does that work? I worked in one place where we had birthday buddies. And so we would team up, and it was your birthday buddy's job to find out how you wanted your birthday celebrated at work. And that worked really well. Most people did want cake, but a few people wanted cookies, and a few people said, I don't want anything.
Some people really don't want to acknowledge their birthday.
Right,
They are like that, and I'm like, "No, come on, come on." No,
right,
I don't want to, and I'm like, "Don't, you can't hide from it."
right,
You should be, but each to their own. I think that's another good point is to find out what people want so that it is this experience
right,
instead of just what you think. Like people say, "Oh, treat people as you want to be treated." That's not really true. Treat
right.
people how they want to be treated,
Exactly.
you
Right.
know? That's
That
that's
works
an
much
interesting,
better.
yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Now, what is this SOS thing? You sent
Yes,
me some notes here. Um,
right.
yeah.
So that's something that I developed to remind myself about gratitude, and it stands for make it sure it's specific, do it often, and make
Oh,
sure it's sincere. So
oh,
SOS of gratitude, specific, often, and sincere.
that's great. See, I like that because then it's again attentive. You know, if you're going to work
Right.
with someone, you've got to have that consistency and
Right.
sincerity for sure. I remember once when we were printing our magazine and we were working with a new printer, and the sales guy, older gentleman, goes up to Nancy, and we were getting down to writing a check for
Mhm.
the printing, which is I never want to talk about those printing checks ever. And he looks at Nancy, puts his hand on her shoulder, and goes, "Oh, you've got a beautiful blouse on today."
Ooh.
Oh, no.
Yes.
That's a no-no, isn't it?
Sometimes, in
But it
that
wasn't sincere
situation,
because he was like, "Oh,
right.
you don't
Yeah,
touch."
it's not that you can't compliment each other, but the way it's done, the tone it's done, the circumstances, all that make it be careful,
It
basically.
was fake flirty to try
Right,
and get that check. And Nancy looks at me and I'm looking at her like, "Do we really want to, you know, hand
right,
that check over?" And we actually
right.
didn't continue doing business with them after that one
Wow.
print run.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So isn't that funny? People's communication spills over to not good results in the
yeah,
workplace. The quality
absolutely.
of whatever it is,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I read one study that said 66% of employees said they would leave a job if their boss didn't show appreciation, which is a lot of people.
That's high. That's a high thing. So what about now with so many people working remotely, or maybe you in a nonprofit you have people out in the field all the time. So I think it's really important to still have some kind of way to communicate with them.
Absolutely. Again, the regular one-on-one meetings need to happen, whether they're on Zoom or in person, because it not only keeps you connected around the work, keeps you connected as people. You
Mm.
get to check in and, you don't have to be nosy about what's going on in their personal life, but just an open-ended question, how you doing?
Mm.
Anything new that you want to talk about? And it just helps build that connection because that is a critical part of the work.
So when the other thing with nonprofits, a lot of nonprofits are doing emotionally draining, hard work that because there's the fundraisers, the parties, and all the fun stuff. But on the other side, there's social workers, there's, the therapists, there are people out there that may have to put down an animal, or, there's things that are like traumatic in a way. Sometimes there's PTSD that comes with this career choice, right?
Right.
So when we look at those kinds of things, and so especially nonprofit work, the people that are out really doing some of these very hard touching, emotionally draining careers, we really need to look at them and appreciate. It's like we have Veterans Day, right? Isn't it kind of the same? Don't just do Veterans Day to thank someone.
It Yeah, and I think that's where, having a strong mental health support system and a strong, vigorous time off policy,
Oh,
because when there is trauma, people need time to process it. So,
mm,
it's not just take whatever you want, but if the leaders can say, that was a really hard push we just did for all of us. We're going to shut down for a day. Or, I know that one hit you really hard. Take a couple days off. That goes
mm.
a long way to people feeling like their work is seen and valued and they matter.
Yeah, and because I think that we need it in our armed forces, our police. You can't just go, "Oh, police are bad." That's not true. And I think we're as a society starting to learn that these things that are happening that are dangerous, a lot of nonprofits do dangerous work,
Absolutely.
and it can be traumatic at times. Sometimes you can have a thick skin through it, and then sometimes someone just goes, "Oh my gosh," like, and let them go home. You're right. And maybe send them with some flowers or something to make a note,
Exactly.
because and not to belittle, because mental health is such a it shouldn't there should be no belittling in
Uh,
someone's emotional stress.
Right. No, that has no place in the workplace, no matter what you're doing. Yeah.
Yeah. No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Okay. Whoo, I
Yeah,
didn't
I
know we
don't
were
have
going to go
much to
deep.
add to that one. That one is a
Yeah.
strong statement. Yeah.
Yeah. Boom. There you go. I didn't know we were going to go this deep here. So now you talked about demonstrating an appreciation exercise. So you said, oh, if you want to do it, I'm like, I don't know what it is, but let's do it. What's
All
tell
right,
me.
great. Yeah, this is a exercise I used in it.
Wait. Do we get cake afterward or cookies?
Right, that should be part of it.
Okay, no, sorry, I didn't mean
All
to laugh,
right.
but
So
yeah.
I learned this in a coaching program a long time ago, and it has always felt very powerful to me. So I am going to ask you for to acknowledge yourself for three things. And these can be big things or little things. I tell people, it can be I won the Nobel Prize on Monday, or it can be
Wow.
brushed my teeth this morning. Anything in
Oh, well,
between.
good.
Yeah, so three things. What would you like to acknowledge yourself for, Lisa?
Today, let's see that I got here on time, even though I messed up the time zones. I drank an extra glass of water instead of more coffee with sugar in it.
Okay.
And I got a whole project done early this morning that I didn't think I would make on time, but I did.
Wow, great. So now I'm going to acknowledge you for those things. So, Lisa, I would like to acknowledge you for starting our podcast on time, for connecting with me to make sure we were at the same time, and rolling out this interview together at the right time. And I want to acknowledge you for saying yes to a glass of water instead of yes to another coffee with sugar. And in doing so, supporting your health and your well being. And I want to acknowledge you for taking the time this morning to finish up a project that you didn't think you were going to get done, but you did. Well done.
Well, thank you. Now, come on, now we got to turn the table around for you. I want to
So
hear.
first, let me ask you, how was that? How did that
It was
feel?
fun. It's
Yeah,
fun, but you never really think about yourself. You're always, for me, I'm always looking at what other people are doing.
exactly. And I think this exercise is great. It's great in your personal life and at work, but especially at work because supervisors, if they take time to do an exercise like this, they may hear that somebody is really proud of something that they didn't even know they were doing.
Mm.
So that's really important, and it feels a little artificial, but when I do it and receive it, it feels great.
I do a part of a gratitude club on Facebook, and you're supposed to post 5 things a day. And it's
Wow,
weird because you don't want to do it on the days that something's going wrong or you're having a one of those negative days,
right,
but it's the most important time to do it,
right.
you know?
Right,
So to look inward is pretty good to have
yeah,
that kind of appreciation. So now I want to hear yours.
all right.
And then we get cake.
Okay, sounds good. Um, well, I would like to acknowledge myself for preparing for this interview, for, um, let's see, signing up to talk to someone about the hidden rules at work, and for doing, oh, this is a good one. I did my first international training a couple of weeks ago, and that I'm really excited about having done that.
Oh, very cool. Now I got to acknowledge you. Yay for international training. Where did you go? Like,
I
what?
didn't go anywhere. It was on Zoom, but there were people from Kenya,
Oh,
Uganda, Colombia, and Spain.
oh, 2 countries I've been to and lived in Kenya, so that's
Oh,
special.
wow.
Well, it's because I think that I acknowledge you for branching out
Thank you.
culturally and internationally. Okay, so now I've got to also acknowledge you for sending me notes so that I was prepared and know that we could do this exercise, right?
Right.
So well, that's important. So you're part of what we're doing.
Right,
And then I want to acknowledge you for looking at the hidden rules because when things are hidden, sometimes people want to keep them hidden and not bring them out. So I
right.
acknowledge that with this because this is also kind of a hidden quiet thing we keep to in our brains and not discuss. So
Good point.
this is
Yeah.
a lot of unveiling today. Ooh.
Right. Right. Thank you very
So
much, Lisa.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I okay, so one thing I learned from an educator, friend of ours who's retired now, and she would do this for teachers and students and teamwork, and to create a dialogue, because you can take people for granted and think you know who they are and know them, and you don't know everything. And there's 3 parts of this, but I forgot the other 2, so I'm going to be real
Okay.
honest. But the one that I always thought was interesting is, see you here. And one of the people she worked with actually ended up meeting his wife this way on a
Oh,
train and asking these questions. So it's
uh-huh.
like, what's your name? What do you do? And then it's the main question, which is so important, is tell me something about you that I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And I remember she asked me this on a radio show, live broadcast. She said, are you game to do it? I'm like, sure. And then she asked me, and I sat there going, well, does Bobby know this about me? What? I didn't,
Uh-huh.
it's just
Right.
really funny. But so I want to ask you that, Rita. Tell me something that I don't know about you that people could know
Um,
about you.
let's see. I mm, I will just say right now that I am looking out at about 8 ancient redwoods, and I am so happy that I get to live in the part of the country that has redwood trees, and I just love where I live.
Wow, I did not know you had redwood trees. Now you know we love redwood trees, right?
Yes,
We
right.
have saved the redwood leagues on our
Ah,
show at least every
right.
once to twice a year. They're on our show. I think we're at
Wonderful.
2 times this year. So see how
Yes,
the connection is. So
right.
what do you think of this exercise
That's great. I love it. Yeah, I can see
for
how
people?
it's connects you to the other person, and it's up to me, what I want to reveal. So that's a
Yes.
really good thing too. It's safe.
Yeah, that's a safe. Yeah, you don't need to tell people what color your underwear is or anything like
Right.
that.
Yeah, or you
See, that's
keep
a
the
non-safe.
darkest
That's a
secret.
non-safe. I
Right.
brought the non-safe in. But I love it because you think you know someone and maybe you really don't know, like a hobby, or,
Right.
like that's, or hey, I really like, these kinds of movies. Like I have a friend
Mhm.
recently, like I had no clue she was this kind of person in TV, but when it's the Hallmark Channel, she's in for Christmas. And I'm like,
Oh,
that is so not your
right.
personality as I know you. But now I'm like, you better not make fun of that channel in front of her.
Right.
But it's
That's
true.
great. Yeah.
So I think it's a attention and a way to connect. So I love I
Exactly.
love I love your SOS too. I think that's a good thing for people to hold on to. That's
Great.
good. I love
Yeah.
that.
And it really is all about connecting and seeing each other, and
I agree.
gratitude makes that all come together.
I love it. I love it. Everyone, keep up with Rita. We love having her on the show. You can go to her website, Supervision Matters. Again, her 2 books is one is Leading for Justice. That's the latest one. And the other one, the first one is Supervision Matters. And you still, I know she's kind of retired, but you could hear by her answers there that she's really not. But you still work with organizations across the country and around the world, right?
Yes, I still do trainings and speaking, and I'm still writing, so that's what I'm
Oh, is another book coming?
not yet, but I just love the process of writing, so we'll see.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Rita, it's always fun to see you on LinkedIn too. I see you on there all the time, and you
Yes, I
always put,
appreciate your thumbs up.
yeah, you always make me think. You always do posts that are fun. Like, yeah, the other one, you had a dog. Are you like dangling the golden carrot? The one,
Right, right.
you always put fun things, and I'm like, oh, she's making me think. Okay,
That's
very
great.
cool.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, Lisa. Great to spend some time with you, and enjoy your
We
travels.
thank you. It's good to see you again, and give those redwood trees a hug for me, okay?
I will. All right. Bye, Lisa.
Thanks, Rita. Thank you for listening to Big Blend Radio Success Express Show. This show is brought to you by Big Blend Magazines. You can keep up with us at bigblendradio.com and check out our magazines at blendradioandtv.com.